Hi guys, hope everyone is doing well on this Tuesday. I wanted to go over the risk assessment, which is one of the final components of your individual implementation guides. And I came up with an actual, like an example of how you would go about identifying your risks before you plotted them on a little chart. So this is what I want you to do for all of your projects. You are going to state your project at the top. In this case, we're going to be using a hypothetical scenario of planning an outside wedding at the Botanic Gardens on April the 25th, 2020. So that's going to be in about 2 weeks. So our goals here, right, for our goal for our wedding is to get Alexis and James, we want to get them married, okay? That's our first goal. Our second goal is to have a great time with family and friends and dancing and good food and all kinds of, and enjoying the entire night. So that is obviously not written in a SMART goal, but for this purpose, it will be just fine. So we're going to be looking at the critical success factors, which are schedule, scope. So remember, we just identified that. The scope is Alexis and James tying the knot. The scope is also flowers, cake, dancing, and getting married outside in the Botanic Gardens. The budget is also tied in with the critical success factors, and then the overall quality of the wedding. So what you're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at two main factors. We're going to be looking at the severity of a risk, and we're going to be looking at the likelihood of the risk. So what is the severity and likelihood of the following things happening for Alexis and James? So the number one thing that comes to mind in April for an outside wedding would be weather. And then these are several risks that I came up with, and you'll be doing this for your projects. For each of your projects, you'll be identifying what could potentially go wrong for this project, because we've really talked about being a watchdog, being always on the lookout for potential risks, and that's very important when you are planning and managing an event or project. So you can see weather, catering cancellation, purchasing a tent if it rains, which would exceed the budget, a DJ cancellation, flower shipment delay, cake falling, RSVP cards not being returned, and then I put the coronavirus. So since it is very, lots of events are getting canceled because of this. So, but let's just pretend Alexis has been planning her big day for 10 months, and every down payment has already been paid, all of that good stuff. So she really wants to still go on with the event, even if it might not be the smartest thing to do. All right, so what we're going to do for my example purposes, we're going to look at the weather, the severity of the actual quality of the event still being the same, as well as, making sure the schedule stays on track, making sure that Alexis has, the best day, the day she envisioned, all of that good stuff. The severity, if the weather started raining or thundering or causing some sort of tornado, the severity would be very high. So we would go all the way down to 3 on the severity factor. And the likelihood that it will happen is pretty high as well. I'm sorry, Alexis, you did not do a great job on thinking through this. So again, you would look over here, and we'll pull our weather over here to high. So I just made little text boxes for this example, obviously, and we're going to go through each of our little examples up here. Not each of them, but several. All right, so catering cancellation. So if the lady canceled, she is James's mother's best friend, okay? So if she canceled, that would be that would absolutely affect the quality as well as the entire scope of the wedding. Everybody wants good food. That would absolutely be a fairly medium risk factor. The severity would be medium. They would still get married. It would be quite a damper on the entire event, though. The likelihood that it will happen is very low because, again, James, his mom, they are best friends with the caterer. So we are going to go severity 2, likelihood 1. So it would still go in the low category. Now, purchasing a tent if it rains, which would exceed the budget. As we've mentioned, the severity would, on the budget, when we're looking at the critical success factor of the budget, is pretty severe because it's going to severely affect the budget. And again, the purchasing the tent if it rains is the likelihood is also, I would actually correct that. It would also be a 3. So you could say purchasing the tent. So we would pull it down here to a 3x3 as well. So purchasing the tent if it rains, it's pretty likely, and it's pretty severe on the budget. Then of course you can see DJ cancellation. That so here's the deal. Alexis really wants to dance the night away, okay? So the severity would be on her feelings, all right? It would be very severe if the DJ canceled. The likelihood, well, he can kind of be a shady character sometimes. So he doesn't always, he's been one of their friends for a long time, so he doesn't necessarily always show up on time, but they like him, he likes them, so he's most likely going to show up, but we're going to give a 2 for the likelihood of him showing up. All right, so you can see a few more of these. The cake falling, again, we would go, the severity of it would be a pretty big damper on the critical success factors, the quality of the event, but the likelihood that it would happen, again, it's fairly low, so it would fall in the low category. All right, so we've come to RSVP cards not being returned, so low guest attendance is really what we're looking at here. That would go, the severity would be a 2. They would still get married, right? Even if there are not tons of people in attendance. And the likelihood that it will happen, you know what? It's the likelihood is 2, especially in light of the coronavirus. It may be even a 3, so this may go into a high risk category. So again, you're looking at, we'll just put it over here just to make it look neat. So I want you to do this exact same thing for your projects. You are going to be identifying risks at the very top. You're going to write your project or your event right here, writing out the details, and then you're going to state the goals and the critical success factors of the event, looking at the schedule, scope, budget, and quality. And then what is the severity and the likelihood of the following things happening to your project? And I want you to list out at least 6 potential risks for your project. And then you will be classifying, if you have more, great, that's excellent. If you have more, that would be, you can list all of those there, and then you're going to plot them on the actual graph. As you can see, I've made little text boxes so I can just put them over this actual little chart here. So that is what plotting your risk assessment looks like. It is, it's not a super difficult task, but it does take some thought. You want to actually, as we've discussed this whole semester, you are planning hypothetical projects. Obviously for the purpose of practice and thinking through what would this actually look like in the real world. So that's what we're going to be doing when we plot this, because I want you to really critically think about how, what are the things that could potentially derail our project altogether. So I hope you're all doing well, and please feel free to email me with any questions. Thanks.